community affected by the Northwest Transmission Development met in Sheffield to voice their concerns. One of the key topics on that agenda, how they should be compensated by Tas Networks. I spoke to TasFarmers President Ian Suaer earlier.
Look, the meeting was held last night. The TasFarmers members and others who were on that Marinus link line from Palmerston through to Burnie, so that we could discuss with them a process and a compensation package. And what came out of that meeting last night, there would have been at least 60 people there. It's fair to say that a lot of those farmers that were there were angry. There was some confusion. They tasked TasFarmers to go back to both the Minister and to Tas Networks with a series of questions. That's the first part. The second part, they're wanting us to come back. We've had some some economic work done on the cost of compensation on the end product, which is the retail end of the electricity price. So they then want us to come back with what they think is a compensation model under the Strategic Benefits Program.
How many farmers are affected by this transmission line?
I think upwards of 200 over the whole line, and some of the, small farms, larger farms, etc. So it's going a long way, all the way from Palmerston through to Burnie, and all of those farms are different. However, TasFarmers' view, and we've made it abundantly clear many, many times, is that this land is some of the best land in the world. There's no doubt about it. It's highly productive. It's highly innovative. There's above ground and underground infrastructure. And TasFarmers farmers are not going to be subsidising the cost of these projects for the benefit of other people. There needs to be an equitable share of the spoils going through. And the other thing we have to keep in mind is that there's basically two lots of compensation. There's compensation under the Act, which is, devaluation of land, etc. And now we've got the strategic benefits payment. And you've heard in Victoria, it's, I think, $200,000 a kilometre plus CPI for 20 years. Queensland's more. We've made it very clear that for us the starting point will be north of what Queensland are doing. Not only do we think it's fair and reasonable that is indexed to inflation, but it's also for the life of the transmission tower. So it's not for 20 years, it should be for 60 years. We think that that's fair and reasonable because the model that we've built that on, the wind turbines that are on farms scattered around Australia and indeed Tasmania. And farmers get a rent payment or a strategic benefit payment for that, for the life of that wind turbine. Now, those wind turbines normally have a life of about 25 years and then they're completely refurbished and the negotiation starts again. So whether it's a transmission line or whether it's, a turbine, it doesn't matter.
Does Tas Networks think that position's reasonable?
Well, we haven't gone down that path all the way, and I would assume that they probably don't think it's reasonable. However, look, we've got economic data now, and we've got enough data from around Australia and around the world that could reasonably and fairly demonstrate that farmers and landowners need to be able to share in that in an equitable way, and we think that the models that we'll be putting forward to the farmers, so that's what we've been tasked with, come back with a model, come back to the farmers, and then they'll discuss it, and we'll do that, within the month. We don't want to drag our feet on this, but I'm suggesting that that's probably where we'll be starting at there.
Is there much a wiggle room to change the direction or where the transmission lines are placed if you've got more productive land and less productive land? Yeah, absolutely.
And so, look, that's one of the things. And, I've got to say that, the discussions with Sean McGoldrick have been more than reasonable. So he has been open, so that's been good. And that's something that we've put forward to Tas Networks. That, look, we don't want to see these transmission lines going over pivots or dairy sheds or whatever. Can they be moved? Well, they can be moved hundreds of metres, but not kilometres. So I think, yep, is there wriggle room? Absolutely. There has to be. I mean, this land is some of the most productive in the world. And, 40 years ago, it was cows, pole, sheep and oats. Well, it's completely different in 40 years. It's transformed. What's going to happen in another 40 years? You just can't think about it. So, so that's why it needs to be indexed, and that's why we need to make sure that we get the model right so it's going to last for the life of that line.
Now, last year you commissioned some research to try and look at compulsory acquisitions, and if companies and businesses, utilities agencies could do better at communicating their position with agriculture and people that work in farming. Has anything changed since that report was released?
It's a really, really slow drip. I think at the higher levels of these organisations, at board level and really senior management, they understand that these farms are businesses. They're making a living, they're contributing to society in a variety of ways, and to come to them and threaten them with compulsory acquisition is just a nonsense. So TasFarmers have said that you take it off the table. It's just not there. Now, TasFarmers have also said that, you can use that as a tool of last resort, but, we're not going to support you until you overturn every single stone and make every single effort. So as far as we're concerned, we see no reason for it to be used. However, last night, seriously disappointed. There were 2 or 3 farmers that came to me, and Tas Networks had been to them, and because they pushed back, they said, but you do have to realise we've got compulsory acquisition. So, it still goes on. Now, I know at the senior management, they're going to be horrified to hear that, and we'll be writing a letter of complaint today about that. But it's just not fair. And, of course, what we're seeing at the moment is we're seeing around Australia and all over the countryside, and the mood of the farmers last night. And the reason why that's there is that there has been a lack of consultation. There's been a lack of community engagement. There's been a lack of transparency. There's been, some of these companies, whether it doesn't matter what they are, can be roads, rail, power, water, it doesn't matter. They'll pick off the vulnerable and then be left with the last few. So it's just not fair. And we've got these companies coming over farmers' land. Sometimes, they've been invited, sometimes they aren't. We, in the next few weeks, with the Victorian Farmers Federation, will be launching a farm access code. This is a booklet that will outline all the legal responsibilities of not only the farmer, but those people that want to come on the land and what they should be doing. Sadly, what it boils down to is just good manners. And that's just not being demonstrated to the farmers at all.
Ian Suaer, President of TasFarmers, chatting about the latest developments in the Northwest Transmission Line. On the text,